The day had begun with soft gray skies. Gentle clouds hovered low over the village. They did not bring a storm. They brought something slower, something quieter. By late afternoon, the first drops of rain began to fall. Not loud, not rushed, just a soft mist falling over the dusty earth. Jesus stepped outside the home he had been resting in. He looked up toward the sky. The cool drops landed softly on his skin. One by one, they traced down his cheeks, like soft whispers from heaven. He did not rush for cover. He simply stood there, still, present, peaceful, as if the rain had been sent just for him. Behind him, two of his disciples followed, Thomas and Matthew. They covered their heads with cloaks and watched from the doorway. "Master," Thomas said, "aren't you going to come inside?" But Jesus turned slightly, smiling gently, and he said, "Some things are better felt than avoided." He took a few slow steps forward, sandals pressing into the soft, damp earth. Drops of rain clung to the olive branches beside the path. The trees shimmered, their leaves catching light in the dim sky. Matthew stepped out next. He stood beside Jesus and watched him. The air smelled like wet grass and quiet soil. The world had slowed down. Jesus turned his face to the sky again. "I love the rain," he said softly. "It teaches us that even heaven weeps, but not in sorrow. Sometimes the sky cries in joy, or in love, or in deep compassion for the earth." The three of them walked slowly toward the edge of the grove. Each step was unhurried, each breath calm. They found a low stone wall covered with woven branches, a natural shelter. Jesus sat down, back resting against the stone. The disciples joined him. Rain continued falling gently. Not a storm, not a threat, just presence, just rhythm. Jesus reached his hand out into the rain, catching the drops in his palm. They rolled across his skin like pearls. "Do you hear it?" he asked. "The rain?" said Matthew. "Yes," Jesus replied, "but listen deeper. It speaks." They sat silently then, listening to something more than sound, listening to what the heart hears when it finally grows quiet. The rain tapped the leaves overhead. It dripped onto the ground with perfect patience, and beneath it all, a hush, a sacred stillness. Jesus closed his eyes. In that moment, he was not teaching crowds. He was not healing the sick. He was simply resting in the middle of God's gentle rain. Matthew spoke softly. "Why does this feel like peace?" Jesus opened his eyes slowly and looked at him. "Because it is peace," he said. "This rain, this air, this quiet. It's the kind of peace the world cannot give. It does not shout. It does not need to be earned. It only needs to be received." Jesus placed his hand on the stone again. The water flowed around it. And he said, "Tonight, let your soul be like this rock. Let it stay grounded. Let the water wash over it. Let everything that weighs on you be rinsed away." He looked out into the field. "The rain doesn't hurry," he continued. "It doesn't force the flowers to grow. It simply comes and trusts that its work will matter. You too can trust. You don't have to fix everything tonight. You don't have to figure it all out. You only need to be here under the rain of his grace. So now, wherever you are, take a deep breath. Let your shoulders relax. Let your thoughts settle. Can you hear the rain in your heart? That rhythm of release. That slow invitation to let go. Close your eyes, dear one. Imagine Jesus sitting beside you, the soft drops falling around you both, the air cool and comforting. There is no pressure now, only presence. You are not forgotten. You are not carrying this alone. God knows every hidden place in your heart, The day had been soft, gray clouds drifting overhead, a sky pregnant with quiet promise rather than thunder. As evening unfolded, the first drops of rain began their gentle descent, whispering against the earth. This was not a storm, but a sacred pause, a rhythm to breathe with. Jesus stepped outside, embracing the drizzle with open hands. Each raindrop traced its path across his face, telling stories of heaven's love. He did not seek shelter. Instead, he let the rain fall, slow and unhurried, as if guiding creation itself into rest. Thomas and Matthew stood within the doorway, cloaks over their heads. "Master," Thomas asked, "why remain in the rain?" Jesus smiled, a remembrance of love. Some blessings are meant to be felt, not avoided. He began walking through the olive grove, sandals pressing softly into the damp soil. The olive leaves shimmered, every drop like a tiny echo of heaven above. The disciples followed quietly, small steps, respectful silence, hearts softening with each breath of mist. In time, they reached a stone wall covered in woven branches, forming a gentle shelter. Jesus sat beneath it, surrounded by rustling leaves and steady rain. The disciples joined him. No words were needed. The sound itself had become prayer. Jesus held his hand into the rainfall. The drops pooled in his palm, moving slowly, surely. He asked softly, "Do you hear it?" Matthew whispered, "Yes, the rain. It speaks." Jesus nodded. Not just sound, but presence. Each drop tapping on leaves above was a message to the heart, not of burden or regret, but of healing and belonging. The soft rhythm called out, "You are seen, you are held, you are known." Evening deepened. Stars blinked above, distant and faithful. Jesus gazed at them and said, "Look at those lights, promises anchored in the dark." The disciples listened, breathing in trust. Rain continued. Jesus placed his hand on the cool stone beside him, saying, "Let your soul be like this rock, grounded. Let the rain wash away every worry. Let peace return." He spoke slowly, each word a lullaby for the anxious thought, each breath an offering of rest. Thomas closed his eyes. Matthew leaned in. The rain touched their faces and their spirits softened. Jesus leaned back, falling silent in the presence of God's gentle night. The grove grew darker, but warmth filled the air. Soft insects began their lullaby, crickets singing in the distance. The olive trees stood like sentinels of peace, dressed in dewdrop light. Jesus opened his eyes and looked at the disciples. "You do not have to fix tonight," he said. "You do not have to conquer everything. You only need to be here, under the shower of his love." Let this story be your invitation. Whenever worries swirl, when your mind races, when your body aches, this night is meant for rest, not because you've earned it, but because grace covers all. The disciples surrendered to sleep, gently leaning against the stone wall. Even Jesus seemed closer to rest, not hurried or weary, but full of trust in the Father's timing. The rain slowed to a soft mist, then faded. A hush settled over the grove. When Jesus rose, the disciples followed. Slowly, they walked back toward the village, unhurried steps in the dim glow of starlight. Jesus turned to look at them and whispered, "Tonight, you received more than rain. You received his presence. Carry that near. Let it soften your days. Let it guide your sleep. As you drift into rest, imagine Jesus walking beside you in your own garden of night. Feel the soft rain washing over you, every drop a whisper. You are not alone. Let your mind quiet. Let your heart trust. Sleep will come. Not because you pushed it, but because you trusted. Your body and spirit will release the tension. Your soul will sink into peace, wherever you are, under a moonlit sky or quiet room. Jesus is with you. The rain of his love covers you now. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Let go. Good night, beloved child of God. Sleep in his peace. Rest, I.